Hey friends, East Coast Pete here, back with another segment of How to Save Rock. Welcome to my mid-rock crisis. Today we're going to talk about Dire Straits. Formed in London, 1977, by Mark Knopfler, vocals and lead guitar, David Knopfler, rhythm guitar and vocals, John Illsley, bass and backing vocals, and Pick Withers, drums and percussion. This band was active from 77 to 88 and again in 91 to 95. They sold more than 100 million albums. Their first hit was Sultans of Swing, a band doing a song about a band. What could go awry? Nothing. It was huge. But not on its first release. No one knew quite what to make of it. They hadn't heard anything like it. Couldn't get behind because they were too many words. The song has a great hook, something I look for in a song, by the way. The song was so different that people thought it must be world music, and you know, maybe it was. It has become the ultimate ode to every unknown bar and pub band. Dire Straits served as an alternative to punk music of the time, but it wasn't considered new wave. They crossed genres, or were one of a kind with no genre at all. How about that? It was just rock. Knopfler, he was a PBD candidate. You know what that is? PBD, probable Bob Dylan. Someone who's going to take over where Bob Dylan left off. Term that's referred to several artists, including Bruce Springsteen. It's a no-name, no-nonsense idea, but it sounds kind of funny now. So the next Bob Dylan, I think that was actually Jerry Rafferty, or what the ever. The brothers Knopfler were from Newcastle, as in bringing coals to Newcastle. Gold Star, if you know what that means. Newcastle is in the northeast of England, but seasoned session drummer for Dave Edmunds was found in London. Mark Knopfler was employed as an art teacher and met Pick Withers when they were both in pub band Brewer's Droop around 1973. They recruited a bassist and brother Dave to form a new band. They called it the Cafe Racers. Their demos were rejected by MCA. A DJ named Charlie Gillette heard Sultans of Swing and liked it so much he played it on his show. And that gave the band a boost and a new name. Dire Straits was then signed by Vertigo. And their first album, titled Dire Straits, was produced by Muff Winwood, Steve Winwood's brother. The album was noticed across the pond by Warner. Dire Straits opened for the Talking Heads, who were very new wave, but Dire Straits didn't fit in with Blondie and the Cars. But a Dire Straits Talking Head show must have been interesting. Was this where rock was heading? The Dire Straits album topped the charts in countries near and far. A US tour helped the album to climb to number 4 in the US, and Bob Dylan liked the album to the extent that he asked Mark Knopfler to guest on his next album, which would be Slow Train Comin'. Romeo and Juliet single went to number 8 in the UK. Solid Rock, while not a single, was a fan favorite at Dire Straits live shows. The Making Moves album went to number 4. Knopfler produced Dylan's album Infidels. Dire Straits would also record their next LP at Air Studios in Montserrat, a Caribbean album and a tax haven. This was the worldwide smash hit Brothers at Arms. And Guy Fletch came in on keyboards. Guitarist Jack Sonny from New York City joined also. Omar Hakim temporarily replaced Terry Williams on the drums. The album entered the charts at number 1. It was the best-selling album of 1985. Money for Nothing was also a number 1 hit single. So Far Away was number 20. Sting guested on the famous animated video for Money for Nothing, which had similarities to the Police hit Don't Stand So Close to Me. Brothers at Arms title reflects the time of the Falkland War, with Argentina, who would attempt to annex the island off Argentina's East Atlantic shore. The Falklands were a last vestige of the British Empire, which used to be so widespread that it was said that the sun never sets on the British Empire. Since they controlled so many countries around the world, Margaret Thatcher sent battleships to the Falklands, ostensibly to engage the Argentine Navy and to protect the English citizens who lived on the islands. It was mostly a show of force without much warring. Thatcher won when Argentina backed down. Argentina just wanted the island. It was so close to their shores, they considered it their own. It's just a lot of English people happen to live there, so it didn't work out for you. Sorry, Argentina. And what about the Monroe Doctrine? What about the Monroe Doctrine, East Coast Pete? That's complicated. One of the Bush presidents had to figure that had to figure it out. Maybe Ronald Reagan was president, but Bush was the former CIA director, and this was a CIA project. Oh well, whatever. The album became a favorite of veterans, and it was ranked 38 in the 50 key advents in rock history. The 50 key events in rock history. And it was the 8th best-selling album in the UK and the 107th best-selling album in the US ever. The world tour lasted 2 years, and Dire Straits took a long break to work on outside interests. They regrouped in 1988, but then redissolved, and then reformed again in 1991 to record an album. Studio musicians were added, including Jeff Porcaro, Toto's drummer. Jeff pokes up a lot of times and places. AAA album On Every Street met with moderate success and mixed reviews, but it still sold 8 million. Single Calling Elvis was about the 60s animated show. Thunderbirds. Puppet show, you remember that? I'm not sure that matters to anyone, but I like those weird puppet shows like Supercar and Planet Patrol. I was a kid once, yep. And I never knew how good we had it growing up in the 60s. What the hell happened? Knopfler said no to more touring. His solo career had become a success. When asked about another Dire Straits reunion, he said, "It just got too big. If anyone can tell me one good thing about Fame, I'd be very interested to hear it." Here's the discography. 78, Dire Straits. 79, Communique. 80, Making Movies. 82, Love Over Gold. 85, Brothers at Arms. And 91, On Every Street. Dire Straits was like the Police, not many albums, but huge popularity for about a decade. And the singles both had mysterious accents, meaning the singer's voice. I mean, the Police have this weird reggae thing going on. I'm not sure what you call what Mark Knopfler does, but it sounds different than anybody else I can name. And I like Dire Straits a lot. I love that video they made, Money for Nothing. I tried to play that song in my set, but I don't know, it just didn't go well, because maybe it would have been nicer to have the video going on behind the band. I never got to that point with, because the other guys in the band said, "We have no idea what this song is, or who it's from, or what it's about." I'm like, how can you not know this song? It's all over the radio. They said, "Well, we don't listen to the radio anymore. That's not something we do." But it's something you do. This is sort of like radio on the computer here. That's where we get most of our radio anyway nowadays. The good stuff, right? Thank you all for putting up with me and the bands I like. Reaching out to you to help me save rock, one band at a time. Thanks everybody. I'll see you next time.